Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, planet Earth. How are you all doing today? Let's see, what do we got going on? Hey, let's check out the Swiss. Yesterday it was very fascinating to watch the Swiss and the British pound show the strength, and the euro falling apart. But then, not falling apart, but just falling down for the last couple of days. And then out of nowhere, it all joined in. It was fascinating to watch that go on for the last 24. The dollar cannot be stopped. King dollar is the king dollar, and it just doesn't stop. It just keeps on marching on. We are all components of the Federal Reserve at this point in time. Let's get the chat line up and see who is still around here on a Friday, because most of you are already having your adult beverages, I'd imagine. Let's see. Heading there now. Can you hear me now? Let's see. There we go. Alright, let's get this going. And where's this fact check spreadsheet? There it is. Ta-da! Alright, and you can see there the Swiss again moving against the dollar, in obviously in the up direction, which was, you know, it was flight to safety for like the last week or so. I've seen that, and now we see it pairing back again in the reverse direction. I believe this is a channel. It's nothing else going on. It's just kind of dead. I see no questions or answers at this point in time about it. It just seems to be sitting there dead. And it's just the middle of July. That is life this time of the year. You check out the Trader's Almanac, and it's exactly what it usually says. It's like everybody's on vacation, doing nothing. All right, and there you can see it on J4X, and then we'll go over to Chicago Quant and check it out there at the same time. See what's going on at Chicago Quant. See which page is that. That is there. So if we go with the 2, there it is. And you can see there, oh, look at it. The numbers have come out on the unemployment number. You can see the stock indices are moving down from it, but still firm. Dow Jones Industrial Average is, now that's cute. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 76 points, and the NASDAQ is down 55 points. So, and then the S&P 500 is almost unchanged, $1.50, 1.5 points. That's about it. So you can see there the news. Let's see what the Swiss Bank said about it, or Dukascopy said about it. Let me go check that out on one of these pages and see what you guys had to say. And it's obviously lunchtime for you guys, heading for your afternoon on a Friday in the middle of the summer. So if anybody's in the office, I'd be surprised. I see Belarus is blocking you guys from visiting from Latvia. Oh wow, crazy, crazy, huh? Let's see. Let's try this. There it is. And then let's go to. There you go. There's the economic calendar. Let's see if it's updated already. Let's just go with today instead of me scrolling. Not this week. We just went today. There it is, today. And we're looking at, what's the numbers look like? 8:30 Eastern Standard. The forecast is 870. Let me switch over to another source and see what they actually were. What was the actual number? And the actual number was 943,000 as an unemployment rate tumbles. Not quite 1 million, but probably close enough for the Fed to signal tapering. Yeah, right. Not with this administration. Forget about it. That's why you see the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 74 points, and you see the NASDAQ down 46, which was just down like 55, and you can see the S&P 500 is a +3 versus that +1.25, 1.5. They're not gonna taper. There's talk of 2022, a possibility, but they are not going to taper until they're forced to taper. And they're not going to be forced to taper. Forget about that. Forget about it. All right, let's drift back over to Chicago Quant. You'll be able to see our work right there. Right there, there's the Swissy. You can see it's still playing that little range that we've been paying attention to, the channel. You can see that right there supporting. And at the same time, you can see on J4X, on the Swiss platform, you can see the same thing. You see that strength kicking up on the Dukascopy platform right there. You see the strength. and it doesn't seem like it's going to be backing off or doing anything remotely like that. King dollar is king dollar. We have no choice about it, because the Federal Reserve controls the planet at this point in time. So it is going to be king dollar as long as they want it to be king dollar, and since everybody's bankrupt themselves across the planet, there's not much they can say about it. All right, let's jump over to the euro and see what the euro is doing. I'm going to do it on Chicago Quant to begin with, right there. You see, making, 2-week lows, basically. And you can see it here on J4X at the same time. Where is it at? It is right there. Right there. Right there. You see that right there? It's J4X is loading it up. And you can see the same thing, spiking down. The Hinky Ashy is kicking out there. And you can see at the same time, you got the, over in the Chicago Quant. Wow, that's pretty big. I didn't want it to be that big. There we go. And then obviously you can see on line 14 on the fact check, 2 full days in the sell. Now heading, or is it 3 days? I'm sorry, 3 days in the sell. How did I end up with just 2? Let's put a 3 in there. Right? There it is, the 3. 3 days in a sell, and as you can see on Chicago Quant, this is the 4th day. And that's why we made the title yesterday on YouTube. We put it in there, Swiss and cable versus euro. That is the action we have been seeing. And wow, quiet it is. Quiet we will be. That's exactly it. It's just summertime noise. All right, now, let's see, we'll jump over to, take a look at the cable. And there is the cable. Cable, not giving up. I guess out of all of them, the strongest is the cable. It was flirting with the daily sell here for a while today, but you can see, let's just make this wider, like that. There you go. You can see that right there. It's on the hair of its chinny chin chin. We're looking at 0.00000, and the plot 4 is hanging there. Oh, there we go. -0. There we go. We got a minus out of it, out of nowhere. So they're just hanging on the line. And as you can see, now -13, or 0.00013. And you can see now -22, 5 digits out. And so a little pressure there, just a little pressure. The trading desk in Switzerland saw the numbers and sold some? Maybe, maybe not. How we talk about making markets around here, and the markets are thin, and it's that time of the year. It's supposed to be thin. Humans need to take their vacations. All right, let's jump over to the J4X. We'll see what it looks like over there, right there. There it is. Cable, cable, trading in 139.13. And just hanging. Look how tight the range is. For something that's bouncing around. Oh, 112 now is 113's bid. Look at it. Went from 113's bid to 109.9 in 2 ticks. Tell me it's not a thin market? Yeah. I mean, there's no participation out there. No conviction whatsoever. There you go. You see the 9s are being bid again. And now 11s are bid. I mean, that's 12s are bid. 13s are offered. Give us a 14. Come on. Give us there's a 14. And you see there, that's very thin market. Very thin, that type of action. We didn't even see that in the 60s, or in the 80s and the 90s. We didn't see action like that. And volume was 3 times more. This just shows you it's king dollar or nothing. That's what it really comes down to. It's whatever the Fed wants is the Fed gets. Never fight the Fed. And let's see, let's just take another quick peek and see how or maybe I should move that down. Let's see how they're trading the stock indices. That's kind of like literally the thinnest of the markets. You can see the NASDAQ is back down about 53 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average is still even higher. It's trading at 78 now. They don't want to let it go. They're not going to let it go. I mean, this is the old stocks. Remember the NASDAQ 100, or as you know, they list it in Europe as the Tech 100, basically is very cash intensive. It needs lots of cash. So interest rates have a very, very strong effect on it, whereas the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you know, they're old aligned companies that don't use as much capital to function. So they don't have to borrow as much. They're not interest sensitive to interest rates, or sensitive to interest rates. And so that's what you get out of that. All right, and there it is. There's the cable. Anybody have a question, just fire it across the chat line. We'll go after it again. All right, now let's drift back to the Forex market. And you can see right here, we'll go to the dessert, and that's the dollar Turkish lira. You can see it's moving up for a third day now. Strength is kicking in, but notice the weekly signal is still, you know, I guess you could say just stalled. I think that's about the best way to describe it. It's stalled. It's not really going anywhere with the weekly. Now we're going to take a quick look on J4X, and then we'll jump right from J4X, from the dollar Turkish lira. We'll switch over to, we're going to check out the euro Turkish lira. Right there, there's your dollar Turkish lira. And you can see that strength right there. And we'll see how our two Stokes are working. You see that right there. You can see the Hinky Ashi moving up, so they're just joining in with Chicago Quant. And then let's jump over from the J4X to the euro Turkish lira. Now that'll really tell us the actual action. The actual action. Are you supposed to use two A's like that? I doubt it, especially when a third of you is only understand English clearly as an American. Alright. In other words, we have lots of slang. Okay, you can see there, it is moving up strongly also. And let's check it out on, I'll try to dodge the slang. Let's check it out on the euro against the Turkish lira right there. And again, that is also moving on a third day on the upside. Now, it would be nice to see the weekly just flatten out, you know, go horizontal. Right now, it's still aiming down. So this is what we refer to as a dead cat bounce. In other words, the cat falls out the window, you know, 3 or 4 or 10 stories up, hits the ground, and is dead. And it's not a Schrodinger thing. And you know, next thing you know is it just bounces just because of the entropy or lack of entropy, and that's about it. Now, you know, that's how that expression came. You know, when Wall Street was king, you know, basically people had cats and they lived in tall buildings, and sometimes they would find a way to get out the window. And that is a dead cat bounce, and that's all we're really seeing there right now. All right, from there we'll jump over to the Canada. Let's see what the Canadians are doing today. And you see they're pushing on a second day in the sell. But we're in that long weekly buy. You can see that 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 full weeks in a buy, and it doesn't look like it's going to let go. And again, it has that natural tendency to follow the path of the Turkish lira. Why, I have no idea. I mean, Turkey and Canada do not seem to have the same characteristics. But, you know, they do seem to want to march together at a lot of times, their currencies. So you can see there the Canadians lifting. You know, that's putting more pressure on the value. It's not gaining in value, it's losing in value because it takes more Canadian to buy an American. Now let's drift over to, I guess we're going to shift, let's see, where do we go? What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the, we look at the metals complex and we look at the energies for a little bit here. So we'll go right to the crude oil. And normally when the crude oil is going down, losing value, usually the Canadian is losing value, but we have this action right now where it seems to be doing the inverse relationship. So you can see here Canadian, the oil contract has been moving up for the last 2 days. We're in a daily buy for its second day now. And you saw we flirted with the weekly. At one point it was minus, now it's back to the plus side. And Canadian should be heading down, but it's not. It's lifting up. So the very short term, you can see we're in a second day of the sell, but the weekly is superseding that signal and telling us to stand to the side. It's a neutral. Neutral. In other words, traders always remember there's three sides to a market. Be long, be short, or be neutral. That's all there is there's those three spots. Choose them wisely. Follow our math and it will be fine. Now, from the Canadian, what we do is we like to drift, as I said, to the metals market and the oil market. So what we'll take a look at now is see what Mr. and Mrs. Gold is doing. Again, that's something that the Federal Reserve has no interest in supporting. Obviously, they like to sell the daylights out of it because it's a surrogate for the dollar. So they've been handicapping it for years now. And now with QE, where we are, we're in the year 2021, and QE started in 2008. So we're 13 years now into the QE. And it was supposed to be for a year and a half, 2 years tops, and here we are 13 years later. And you can see here there's the gold contract trading at 1778 live. There's your spot out of Swiss. And at the same time, let's see, I want to update there. And then at the same time, maybe you see that little warning sign they have there? Probably the market's too fast. That's probably what that is all about. Now we'll go over to Chicago Quant, take a peek at it. Right there, you see they're smack-a-doodling it. It's on the lows of the day. The low is 78.30. We are trading at 78.90. So we're only 6 cents away. Now I'm popping up a little bit into the 79s. So we're coming off that low. You see here our weekly has been battling with that for so long now. What's that? 4, 5, 6, 7 full weeks in a weekly sell. This product cannot get out of its own way. It doesn't make any sense. This is why the life of cryptos will survive and do well, solely because it's a good replacement for the physical market. And you can see it the same way when you look at cash versus paper. The metals markets in the paper are so much better. They trade better, they act better. And when you try to take the physical in the futures market, forget about it. It's a joke. You know, the delivery is a challenge. You know, the inventory is a challenge. Everything's a challenge. You know, it's just not fluid anymore like it used to be before quantitative easing. Welcome to the QE era. And as you can see, let's check out Mr. and Mrs. Oh, there you go. Did the J4X? Has not. Let's go over to the spot silver. Poor silver, same situation. And what do we? Oh, let's just check the fact check spreadsheet. That's line 6. You can see 2 full days now on a sell on gold, going on a 3rd day as we speak. And let's check out the silver. We had so much high hopes for silver at the beginning of the week. You know, they started lifting it up in our daily buy for 3 or 4 days, and then it was smack city on Wednesday. They just crushed it on hump day. And they're having a hard time in Switzerland to get the spot going there too. You see that? And the markets, they got that little cautious sign. In the States we use yellow, they use orange. But it's still a triangle. The international sign of caution, be it in your automobile or in your trading. And let's put the Swiss, there's September Swiss at the lows of the day. Today's low is 24.62.5. Last trade is 64, so it's 1.5 cents off its lows. That's about it. And we've been in a weekly sell for so long that the cows have not even come home. We are now on the 12th week, going on the 13th week of a weekly sell. It just refuses to lift. And you're fighting the Fed. So, where's the money normally go? It finds a way to go to the cryptos. I mean, it's one of the only safer havens. If you want to have an alternative to the Federal Reserve and the central banks across the planet, you've got the cryptos. That's the only place to go. All right. A sip of water. And where do we go from here? Let's just take a quick peek at the other metal complex, and that we'll take a look at copper. I think they put copper into a buy there yesterday. Let's see. Yeah, the daily buy and a weekly buy. So let's see how well copper is holding up. The industrial metal. No, not there. Nothing up my sleeve. Let's see, there it is, right. Where'd it go at? There it is. And there is the copper. As you can see there, it is still acting firm and moving up for a second day. It's actually up, what is it for the day? Let's see, it closed yesterday at 436.20, and today's high is 441.30. Following the math well, it's doing its job correctly. And at the same time, let's check it out on J4X. Maybe that won't be in a cautious state. Let's see. Oh, there you go. They did. They updated the silver now. There you go. They got the silver out of the cautious zone. That's because it's bounced off the lows. See how they had taken it down to those lows. They started to panic a little bit. They widened their bids and offers. Excuse me. And that's how you make a market. You don't have much of a choice. People think that the brokerages are stealing. They're not stealing. They're trying to make a market. And if you don't have the volume and the paper coming in, well, you don't want, they always just say, when the cavalry comes over the hill and there's arrows in the backs of all the pilgrims and the pioneers, the one thing they always wanted to see was that their weapons were totally empty. In other words, they fought to the last bullet. And so traders, they're not going to be heroes. They are going to widen their bids and offers because they got to make a market. Look at the Turkish lira's market. I mean, it's outrageous because it's too thin. And the only way you can make a market is if you have somebody selling you something. And if they're not selling it to you at the price that's the norm and the volatility is lower and it's higher, then they're going to lower their bid and they're going to raise their offer until it all straightens out. And there is copper on J4X. You see, matching up to Chicago's prices. So that's coming out of Switzerland. You can see there's a 430. What is that? 437. I guess that's what that is. 437.90. 437.90.1 offer, and there's a 5 bid, so it's 4 ticks wide, and it's holding that 4 tick wide because again, illiquidity. Hello. All right, now, and what do we have here? There's the Chicago quote, and the Chicago quote is a tad tighter, but then it's a futures contract and it's not the spot, so it makes it a whole different game. It's just a couple cent wide, and that's the battle that you have to take on when you're trading the spot. You've got if it's volatile, the states will do the same thing. The futures will widen. They will not let them be tight. They just refuse to let them be tight because they're trying to make a market. They're not out to lose money. They would just like to be able to execute and break even or make a little money. And that's always the confusion by the public, like the way they did it with Reddit. They're very concerned about the Reddit. Reddit was just trying to make a market, and then when the brokerage houses refused to allow them to make a market, they had to widen or halt the trading. It wasn't Reddit deciding that they were going to hurt the investors. It's just the physical laws of the marketplace, and it always has been and always will be. And that's how that works. Speaking of which, Reddit jumped up to 85, which was really cool. It seemed they locked in around the 70 area where the most options are being traded. But it's not in particular at the moment. I think it's down into the low 60s, so that didn't seem to hold up long enough. We'll see how it is today. It's a very active product. It has a lot of followers, but that is how a market works, traders. All right, now let's see, where do we go? We got copper done. Oh, I just want to double check the platinum. Let's see what they're doing with the platinum this morning. All right, and the answer to that is right, not there, almost, right there. There we go. And there's the platinum. Platinum's not taking it as hard on the chin. You can see it being quoted at 988, basically 989, and Let's see if we can get a quote up again out of Switzerland on the, we're out of Lafayette, out of the price of, let's see, wherever that market making desk is. Let's put the gold up there again. And we'll be able to see the two working as a pairs trade. In the States here we do a 2-to-1, solely because the contract is half the size of the gold contract. So you see 79s are offered, and let's see, platinum is at $990. So we're looking at $790 basically, $789 to be exact. The market has been trapped in that middle of the zone for I guess about 3 or 4 weeks now, 5 weeks. You know, we were bears at 10,051. We weren't bulls at 474, but you know, we knew that it had gone way too far, and now we're trapped in the middle of that, which is the classic Fibonacci, you know, wave count type of thing. So that makes total sense there. All right, jumping over to, let's see, what do we have? Oh, let's throw natural gas up there for the other side of the energy, since we looked at the crude. West Texas Intermediate, sweet crude we watched. Let's take a look at the nat gas right there. Nat gas moving down a little bit there today. No, it's still not updating. I'm not even sure what's that malfunction. Normally it updates. That's a September contract. Let's see if we can fix that. Let's go with that right there. If not there, we'll go to a CME feed and see what that's doing. Close. And then maybe we have to double check the bottom too on the weekly trend. It's been in a weekly buy forever. I mean, nat gas is 16 weeks in a buy, going on 17 weeks. I mean, it's very different than what normal natural gas does this time of the year, and has been doing for almost over a quarter of the year now. We've been seeing a lot of strength in it. Sure does say something about the winter months coming. All right, so that's not working. Let's do this. Let's go to the CME, or no, I guess it's NYMEX Energy. Let's go with NYMEX Energy live and see if that'll do it. I think that did it. No, it's still not giving us a quote. I'm not sure what nat gas's issue is this morning, but for some reason they don't seem to want to give us a sized up market. All right, let's see, where do we go from here? That's the energies and the metals complex. Let's drift back to the Forex, and we'll switch that over like so. We'll go to the South African Rand, checking out the, normally with the way it's down, the metals market, you would assume that the Rand would be moving up. So let's just check that out. And what it is what it is. Right. There it is. No, it's not. There it is. As you can see up on Chicago Quant, it is just flat lined up. You know, it's higher than yesterday. You know, you're seeing it in the buy here for a second day. It's been in a weekly buy now, 2, 4, 6, 7. This is the 8th week in a weekly buy. So that trend has moved from the 14-ish, was it 14, where was it, 1380s, and now the high is, well, the high was 1499, and right now we're trading at 1463. So, you know, it's doing its job. The math is telling us be long or be wrong. Let's just throw that little line in there, right there. All right, from there we'll go over to the ruble, see what the ruble's doing. I was, I think, flirting with a buy yesterday. Yes, there it is. And you can see we had the volatility signal kick out yesterday, and today it's higher. So it settled yesterday at the 73.11 area. Right now, as we speak, it's trading at 73.34 with a high of 39. So a little buying going on in there. This is, it's going on its 5th week in a weekly buy. It's flirted with the weekly sell, but just seems to have backed away, I guess you could say. And so the Russian Federation's currency is losing its value a little bit there. Now we'll drift over to the yen. Let's see what the yen is up to. Right there, on the second day, moving up. and a weekly sell, so we are trapped in that neutral. So you'll know one thing for sure: don't be short. You know, don't be short. I mean, you had that win from the 109.90s and traded down to the 108.72, and now it's trading back up to 110. Don't be short. For the last couple of days, it's telling you you should have taken your money and run. And so it's a neutral at the moment. You're just sitting there figuring out how you're going to spend those profits. Let's see, what's the next victim? From the yen, we're going to slide over to the Mexican peso. Let's see what they're doing with the peso this morning. It'll come out there. Where are you? There you are. Dollar peso pairs on a third day on the upside and a second week in the buy, and pretty much I would call that unchanged, just up a little bit over the last 3 days since the buy. Today's the third day. You know, it's up from what was that, 1988 right there on the screen, and got up to 1996. A very tight market. Can't complain about that. They seem to have figured something out down there, because that currency is trading very well, very solid, very tight, just the way every importer, exporter, and banker would love it. The nice, steady, tight market where you can make a market and not get beat up at the same time. And that's where we are. Could be, it reminds me of the zloty against the euro, the Polish currency. They both have that natural tendency nowadays to trade in nice, tight ranges, especially the zloty. The zloty's been tight now for, 4 years, 5 years, something like that. It's a really good product. Obviously, they are now the second largest industrial nation in Europe, but they are much smaller than they're a very small country compared to France and Germany and so forth, but they are now the second largest, since they like to practice capitalism, and that freaks out a lot of those Europeans, But that's why they are a growing economy with a really good currency, and thank you, Lech Walesa. All right, from there, our last currency we look at until someone asks for something else is the, we did the yen, the ruble, the ZAR, and the peso. I think that's it. I think we've hit them all, right? Yep, we have. So we're done the currency side unless someone needs something. Yesterday we went on that little tear of looking at the Canadian against a bunch of different currencies, and I think we may do the same thing. I think we'll slide over to the stock indices, check out what's going on there, and then we'll move back to a guest currency of the day, where we'll look and see how it's doing against the other pairs trades, which was kind of fun to me. I like that. And let's see, as we check some. Oh yes, look at that. We're seeing stuff from the Aleutians. Yep, John's up there with some of the biggest fish in the world. The good scientist he is. Look at those fishies. Oh, you can't see those fishies. I'm seeing some people out of Europe saying stuff about the fishies with those giant pictures. All right, let's jump over to that right there. And there you go. You can see S&Ps have not really picked up anything. They're up 2 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 102. It keeps on climbing. That's so because it's lack of sensitivity to the interest rates. And then the NASDAQ 100, or for you in Europa and the rest of the world, the Tech 100 is down 70 points now. That pressure is still on, and they're still pushing on it. Now, let's see, what else we got going on here? Yes, it is. I put a picture of the governor of New York killing the grannies and smacking the fannies. That's right. OMG. So, let's see now, what can we say about these? These are the intradays. Let's go over and look at the dailies to these three products, and we'll even check out the Russell 2000 at the same time. So we'll go to the Tech 100 first, and let's switch it so you can see too. I can see, you can see, we all can see. And there it is, the Tech 100. On a daily basis, right there, you can see it trading at 15,110. on the offer as we take a sip of water. And then at the same time over on Chicago Quant, let's go to right there. And you see here, it's trying to move down, not breaking the daily. It's been in a weekly for a while. What was it? We've been in a weekly buy now from the 14,000 area, and where is that at? Line 20, was that 27? 8 full weeks in a weekly buy, going on in 9th. The thing refuses to back off, and again, fight the Fed and you will lose. Be long or be wrong. That's what it all comes down to at this point. Don't fight the Fed. Old Wall Street adage, do not fight Fed. All right, now you can see, is there anything really we can say about it? I mean, it's barely breaking a time manifold. It's, you know, kind of stalled at that point. You can see the green line is broken below the plus time manifold, but it's nowhere near the zero line. It's halfway in between. So we're not really getting any, you know, real danger. Or you could see here on a daily, if they broke this down maybe to the 1500 area, maybe a little less, you would probably get this thing into a minus on a daily. So then you'd be trapped into a neutral, because it's sure not going to take out the weekly. So it's just another dead cat bounce. All right, heading over to the S&P 500, right there, the world's index, as I like to call it. Remember, 50% of the stocks in it are domestic companies here in the United States incorporated, and the other 50% are incorporated outside the United States. So if there's ever really a worldwide index, that'd be it. That's why all the funds around the world follow the S&P 500 when they follow anything else. And at the same time, you have to realize that you don't have to realize. I realize, and that is that, you know, the top tiered stocks in it. You know, you're looking at Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Intel, you know, Tesla, Nevada. You know, all the Tech 100 stocks are the top tiered stocks in that product. I don't think ExxonMobil kicks in until number 10 nowadays. Something like that. Remember, it's a cap-weighted index. You see right there it is, holding up firm, looking good. Billy Ray, looking good. And you can see here over on Chicago Quant, same situation. You know, it's trying to dip because it's off of the highs of yesterday, but not a lot of selling going on there. Nothing really. Right there. See? Matter of fact, it's just still plus by 2.5 points. And you can see the weekly, the green or the plot 4 is still way above even the plus time manifold. At least over in the NQs, you can say, well, you know, it's breaking down a little bit, you know, a little selling there. You can see it there, right there. The green line is below. Let's make that time manifold a little bit thickerish. Make it thickerish. There we go. You can see it right there. Now it's well underneath it for the last week, but it just refuses to break down. And we've been in a daily buy since it went under the time manifold, not even remotely close to the zero line to be that concerned. Just shows you that the buyers are getting thinner, I guess you could say. That's a good way of always looking at it with our mathematics. Our math is always describing supply and demand. And so what it's doing is it's not an average, not a bell curve, it's a consciousness that's measuring supply and demand over and over again every day and recalculating. And so what it's telling us is that the amount of buyers in it is less, but obviously they're greater than the sellers. That's what it's saying. I can say that again if it sounds too complicated, or you can watch the replay of this. But what it comes down to is that the buyers are still dominating the sellers, more of them. It's just that not as many of them as there were before. That's what it comes down to. All right, now we'll zip over to the grand old lady itself, and that is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which now is not a New York Stock Exchange index solely anymore. And that used to be the marketing tool of the New York Stock Exchange for decades upon century. And now the top 6 stocks, or let's put it this way, 6 of the stocks are NASDAQ stocks in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So you have Apple in there, and you have Microsoft in there, and you have Intel in there, and you have Shopify, and what's the other one? It's the biotech, Amgen. So you have 6 of the. Oh, and you have Cisco Systems in there too, and the networking company that bought digital equipment and bought what was the other one? It was a computer company too. I can't think of the name of the computer company now. Compact Computer. So what you have is that networking company, basically in the Dow Jones Industrial Average in the form of Cisco Systems. As we finish off that bottle of water. All right, let's see. You can see here the green line, or plot 1, is playing with the top of the time manifold, so no real weakness there. Daily buy for a second day, so it's up, what is that, up like 99 points at the moment. So they're still buying this thing. And obviously, as much as it's curved, it still says that buyers are outdoing sellers. May not be as many buyers that there were before, but then it is the middle of the summer. It's supposed to be this slow. I promise you. Let's see, what else? Oh, let's go check out one of our favorite little tools, which has replaced the NASDAQ as the Speculative Index, and that is the Russell 2000. And you can see there, Russell is lifting, and we've talked about this. There's a lot of money managers out there that have been saying, I want to see the Russell lift. If it lifts, I'm buying. Well, you notice that it's not at all-time highs. It's off by a few hundred points. At the same time, just went into the buy yesterday, or basically gave you the volatility signal yesterday, and it is firm today, and you can see that the weekly is flirting with a weekly buy. So money managers are stepping up there, and that could be the next action to see, and that is more buying. Now, if it wasn't for, now it's curious, we're watching the NASDAQ 100 down 62 points, and at the same time we're watching the Russell start to lift its head up. And so the speculated stocks are starting to get some legs in them, the meme stocks. Whereas the cash intense stocks of Google and Apple and Amazon and so forth are having a little weakness problem this morning. They can't get any legs into themselves. Hence Dow up 104, hence S&P 500, which should be at least up 10 points for the ARB, maybe for the pairs trade, or 12 points or 9 points, is only up 2.5 points. That's that combination of the top tiered stocks in the S&P 500 are, NQ stocks. I just had to throw that out there. I was waiting for somebody to raise their hand, but that's okay. It's a Friday. Everybody can have their head down on the desk. Let's see, what's next? After listening to me for 4 days, you're allowed to put your head down on the desk and just wave once in a while without lifting the head up. Now let's drift over to that's it. That's the 4 indices. So now what we do is we march back over to, let's see, where do we go from here? I kind of forget. What is our rhythm to? Oh, I know what it was. The guest currency pair. That's what it is. Who do we look at today? Yesterday was Canadian against the pairs. Let's see what we have today. Let's see which one we should chase after. Let's just give a quick look through the currency market and see who's doing what. Maybe we should look at the Swissy. Let's see, how many Swisses do we have? We have the Swiss against the dollar. We have the Swiss against, let's see, we have the Swiss against the cable. We have the Swiss against, I guess that would be against the euro. So let's see what we can do those three. Let's see what the biggies are doing with each other. What in blazes? Oh, that's an hourly. Forget about that. So we have cable and dollar, and let's find. That doesn't make any sense there. So let's do that. That's go like that. We'll go like this and make a copy of that. And we're going to go with cable. I'm sorry. We're going to go with euro against the Swiss, since we made it the label of it yesterday. Why not be entertained by it? And I think we have a Swiss against the yen too. We can do that one. Euro. EUR. There we go. And right there again. All right, so we'll start off looking at the dollar pairs again as we started off today. And there it is. Let's see, where is it at? Right there. So you can see here, it's at the highs of the day against the dollar, which means it's losing value because you're getting, it's taking more euros or saltines to buy a dollar or pennies. All right, now we go check it out on J4X to see how it's matching up. And there it is. There she blows. The great protector of last resort, Swiss. All right, and you can see there it's trading at 91.12s at 13. Nice tight market. Same thing in Chicagoland, basically trading in the 12s or 13s. And that's the action we see. And we're seeing this lifting here. And we're waiting for it to fill in on J4X. Got that caution thing. It's obviously, the volatility is kicking up in these currencies today. So I'm sure that they're going to keep the volatility warning up as long as they can and then they'll load it up as time goes on. Let's do this. We're going to jump over to the next pair. We'll go to cable, since that should be an interesting fight. This is like Friday night fights. I used to call it, what was it, Algo Wars. And let's see, there it is right there. Dollar, cable Swiss. You see, same situation. Going up in value. The British pound, let's figure this out. So it's pounds against Swiss. The pounds are winning. That's what's going on there. Let's see if we can get a quote out of Switzerland on that one. Let's see. GBP Swiss. Right there. Having its issues again of loading. But at least we get a quote. So it's 26.57 is their bid for. Same as Chicago. So that's what we're seeing there on the move there. The cable is winning. Now let's drift over to the Europa. Whoop. Right there. And we'll slide down. And there it is right there. There's the Swiss against. And as you can see, that is kind of flat. That's what we've been saying, is that the euro is having its issues about getting going. At the moment, you can see it's trying. The euro is trying to run a little bit harder against the Swiss. But, it's just kind of almost flat. You can see it's in a weekly sell. And you can see what's happened. When it went into that weekly sell, let's move that over like so. Where'd it go into the weekly sell? Went into the weekly sell. Is that there? Is that a buy? Let's double check that. Is that the buy? That's the buy. And then the sell is right there. So this product went from, what is that? This product went from 109.70s and it's trading at 107.30s now. So the weekly sell did its job, and it's been in a daily sell just recently. It's been a daily sell since the 108.50s, and obviously, as I just said, it's at 107.30. So it was, if you are long, you are wrong. That's what it comes down to. We're the rhyming, singing trader. You never know what's going to come out of this mouth. Middle age, what's happening? Doc, could you check Deck Horn? The chart looks bullish, but watching that weekly quant getting closer to sell. I know, isn't that something? Let's go check that out. what it is what it is. Let's see, let's head over to, and I guess we'll take a look at all three of them since you're asking. If I can find the right button to push. Let's see, right there. All right, so there is, who is that? That is deck wheat. All right, let's go to corn. There's deck corn. And you can see here it is so much on the edge. Right now it's a minus 0.70. So it's not even 1 cent. And it's right on the edge. We'll see how this horse race turns out. And look at the strength we're seeing here this morning on this. Let's give it a Control R so we can get some better move. Not there. Now, let's check out the September contract. We'll go backwards, I guess you can say. And where is the SEPI? SEPI is right there. Now, SEP, you know, what's interesting is SEP is the new crop. You know, and we're seeing a lot of it around here, new crop corn. And that, let's see, they're quoting that, what, 55, right? Triple nickels. 555.75. It's almost 5.56 a bushel. And let's go check out the deck again. Deck is trading at 5.54. So you got a contango going on. The new crop is rising. I've been mentioning this. The new crop is acting like as if it's going to be more valuable than normal, which is kind of interesting because we saw what happened with the July contract where they exploded up to 7.48, you know, on the day of expiration. So that is something. I mean, that's 7.48 a bushel. Somebody lucked out and got that. I mean, it ended the day at 6.82 or something like that. Even then, that is still $1.30 more a bushel. You yield on average 200 bushels an acre. You know, at $6, 200 times, you're making some dinero. You know, it's competing with the soybeans at that point. Middle Age says, will deck corn weekly hold up from sell this week? Good question. You know, you can see it's on the edge. We really won't know until like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tonight. You know, all the data comes in, and then Saturday morning will be very clear from there. That's why, you know, Robin tells you that on the Chicago Quant, you want to keep a track of the next morning ones are like the best. Because what we really are seeing right now is what we refer to on the trading floor as sizing up. It's not actually trading. What they're doing is they're using where they're going to open it and trade it live. And it may be trading live at the moment, but most of our quotes are what they refer to as sizing up. And what that means is that they're sizing up the trade. Remember how I told you that Robin was the first to make a bid and offer in the S&Ps back in 82 or 83. He sized up the market and figured where to try to open it up. And they do that. Now, that's what New York specialists did. That's what specialists do. That's what market makers do. They size up a market. They try to figure out where the bid is and where the offer is. That's why you see IPOs, initial public offerings, get dragged out because they're trying to size up the market to equal amount of bid volume to equal amount of sell volume. And so they're constantly trying to fight to get that open to be at that midpoint where they both equal each other. Hey Jordan, how you doing? Let's see. I'm short GBP dollar and euro and losing. I'm sorry, and long. You're not losing anything. I'm short GBP. You're short. I'm short the cable, and you're short the euro pairs, and long the yen. Okay, so when you're long yen, now that means you're long the dollar yen or you're long the yen dollar. Which one is it? Because we can show you. Let's see, where do we go from here? Let's go like this. Make that there. And traders, I can run over the hour mark. You know, Switzerland lets me, Latvia lets me do that. I can go through. I can add more time to this if you need it. Let's see. So here is. Let's first take a look at the cable. There's the cable. Cable's in a weekly buy. So just being short there is against us. You know, you're fighting a trend. The trend is up. Now we went into the weekly buy in this area, okay, in the the 138.40ish area. It settled on that Friday at 139.08. Okay, I think that's the Friday, right? Yeah, that's the Friday, 139.08. And it has traded up to, the high has been 139.57. And it's trading right now at 138.98. So it's been going sideways for 4 or 5 days in here. You can see the daily is trying to break down. It's the keyword there is trying. And you can see it's below the zero line at the moment. So this could go into a sell, but we're in a weekly buy. So you should be neutral when it comes to the cable. That's to start off with. Now, let's take a look at the euro against the dollar. Now that is fine because we're in a weekly sell. And we've been in a weekly sell since, what's that? The beginning of June. And so it's, it's come down from the 121-ish area, 121.5, all the way down to, what's that, the 117s, the high 117s, and now we are trading at 117.80 maybe? What is that? That is 117.82. So being short that is okay. We've been in a daily sell for 3 days. So you're fine there, but you should be neutral on the cable. Now, over on the dollar yen, let's take a look at the dollar yen. Right there. You can see we've been in a buy for 2 days, and we're in a weekly sell for 1 full week. And it's not obviously going to jump into the weekly buy. So that's another neutral. So I'd say 2 out of 3 of those positions, you should be neutral, and you shouldn't be in a position at all. Now, obviously, one is giving you, both of them are giving you money at the moment. If you're short cable, like you said, then obviously the cable is lower, right? Yes, it's lower now. And so I'd say take your profits. Just take them and stand it aside until the math turns. And then you can see the same situation here. This is trying to go up, and this is in a sell. Now, no doubt, it could, it's in a daily buy. Daily buys can lead to weekly buys. Unless you're doing it in binaries or options, you have the risk of getting stopped out on the downside and then watching it climb again. Whereas in binaries or options, outright, you don't have that same problem. And so it depends on the tool that you're using. Let's see, Jordan says, agreed to cable weekly up, trading daily, contrarian, Fibonacci down. Yeah, I hear you. And let me say this about that. I know we're past my time here now, but let me just say this about that. I see the Federal Reserve using the Fibonacci all the time. I see it. I've been seeing it for over a decade now. They are using these tools. So, you can't fight the Fed. If the Fibonacci is bouncing, more than likely it's bouncing. If it breaks, it is breaking. Okay? And so that is usually the recipe to it all. All right, traders. It's after my time. We can break away, and I will say goodbye to you. Remember, today is TGIF, and everybody have a safe and a smart weekend. And we will catch you all on the flip side on TGIM. Thank goodness it'll be Monday. And so, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all my trading friends in cyberspace. Ta-ta for now.